Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 3rd of March and I welcome you all at the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, let's start with the video. In the today's video, we are going to discuss entire analysis of Hindu newspaper along with the articles, their background and way forward. And I would like to tell you that you can download the explainer notes of this particular session from our Telegram channel. Link for the Telegram channel is given in the description box in YouTube. Okay, so first of all, let's see overview, and here I will show you the Hindu newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. Fine. So first of all, here you can see that the first article, BJP allies win Tripura, Nagaland, Meghalaya throws up hung verdict. Okay, so the verdict of the elections that were held in Tripura, Nagaland and Meghalaya have been announced. However, you are not required to go and track that which political party won how many of the seats and all such things, because these things are not asked in our examination. Okay, however, for your interest, if you want, you can read it, but for exam, not much important. Panel of PM, CGI, LOP to pick up CEC says code. So this is a very important article. We will see this article with respect to our examination. Then further, we have advertisements coming to the city section, excise case, BJP app, Congress to launch awareness drives. So this is, guys, just a political issue that is unfolding in Delhi. No need to go too much in detail in these particular issues. Then we have the advertisements. Again, moving on the advertisements. Okay, then again, guys, the political regional issues are there, not important for your examination, so no need to go there. Then further moving on, again, we have these advertisements, etc. Okay, moving on in this particular direction. Okay, Telangana government moves Supreme Court as governor delays nod to bills. We'll see this particular article with respect to exam. Then Supreme Court turns down Andhra Pradesh plea for speedy hearing of its SLP on 3 capitals. Okay, so basically, guys, the Andhra Pradesh government is filing a petition against the Andhra Pradesh High Court order. Fine. Basically, guys, the 3 capital proposal of Andhra Pradesh government. Okay, for that particular thing they have filed it already. Also, we have seen this particular article, but see, you are not required to follow the day-to-day developments in this thing. If any final verdict will come, we'll see that. Then further moving on. After that, ornamental fish aquaculture to help women in Lakshadweep Islands. Okay, so basically, to make the women in Lakshadweep self-reliant, fine, ornamental fish aquaculture, in this they are being trained. What do we mean by the ornamental fish aquaculture? Okay, so fishes usually are reared for consuming, but sometimes you for example, we have these goldfish and colorful fishes that people keep in their aquariums. So the fishes that are not consumed but they are kept in the aquariums, these fishes are called as the ornamental fishes. So ornamental fish aquaculture is the rearing of such aquatic fishes and all shrimps, etc., which will be used in aquariums. Okay, green initiative in Andhra Pradesh attract the attention of Bill Gates. Okay, so here, guys, the example of the example of the Green Co has been given, which is bringing certain initiatives, environmental initiatives, green energy initiatives. Okay, then further moving on the states. Then further we have the regional political issues. Okay, then we have the this spotlight page, the financial and sexual abuse of Maharashtra's migrant workforce, Metro Plus. Okay, and here now we have the editorial page. So first editorial, positing India's stand on the Ukraine war. So here the article is talking about that Western world is saying that India are not taking very clear India not criticizing Russia. It is a moral question, but is it really a moral question or is it a national interest? We'll see in this article. Then further article, side article, seeping saffron, the BJP is primed to be back in power in 3 northeastern states. So the article is talking about the takeaways from assembly elections. Then South Asia's human capital is the resilience its needs. We'll see this particular article. Okay, data dissonance, policymakers must buttress domestic demand to drive growth. So guys, basically the article is talking about the GDP, GAVA estimates that have recently been released. Now I have told you this particular thing multiple number of times that you are not required to track every month's GDP, GVA estimates for our examination. Then further moving on, status quo in the northeast. So this entire page today is filled with the election results. Okay, text and context page, the aftermath of Sri Lanka's economic crash. Okay, so guys, we have seen that right now Sri Lanka is passing through an economic crisis where the food shortage is going on, and this economic crisis has also turned into the political crisis. And there are the big issues that are there. Now, the article is giving a kind of a the article is giving a kind of an update that what is happening right now. Okay, we will see that whether we need to see this article for exam or not. Then further moving on, text and context, next page in the limelight. So the charm of coexistence, how animals act as a metaphor for social decay. So guys, here the plot of the movies, fine has been given. Okay, so if you want to read, you can read the article for your interest as such, fine, as a leisurely read. But for examination, any direct substance, academic substance has not been there. Then divisions between the West, Russia, China derails a joint statement at G20 meeting. Now we are seeing this particular article from past 3-4 days every day. I have told you that now as India is holding the presidency of G20, within G20's presidency, India is convening the finance ministers meet where the finance ministers from the G20 countries will come. Now, when these G20 meets are held, there is a joint statement that is released where the all countries give their consensus. But from the past 2 years, last year in Indonesia and this year in India, the problem is coming that this joint statement is not coming out. Why? Because within the G20 grouping, we have China, Russia, and Western world, including USA, all the countries there. Now, on the Russia-Ukraine war, there is a division between West and US on one hand and Russia and China on one hand. And because of this particular division, they are not coming together and a common statement is not coming out. Okay, so this divisions between the West, Russia and China again has been seen here in this G20 finance ministers meet that was held. Now here Prime Minister has already said this particular thing that the countries such as Russia, China, fine, US, they should rise above the differences and should support. But fine, still there are the issues that are going on. Then Italy, India elevate ties, sign MOU on defense cooperation. We'll see this particular article with respect to the examination. India, China discuss LAC situation as Jaishankar meets counterpart Quinn. Okay, so this is guys actually we find this particular thing that this is a kind of a positive thing that is coming. Since 2020, on line of actual control between India and China, there are boundary disputes that are going on. In 2020, there was Galwan Valley disputes. Recently, there were disputes in Tawang sector in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, to resolve this particular thing, to resolve the LAC situation, India and China are now holding talks. Okay, and we hope that something positive will come here. Okay. Then further moving on, opposition parties welcome Supreme Court verdict on appointment of ECs. We'll take this article as well. EC having tenure below 6 years, breach of law. We'll take this article as well. Then further moving on, Congress makes gain. Now this page is majorly talking about the election results and political news. No need to go here. However, here we see Nagaland gets its first women MLA. So with respect to the participation of women, okay, women in politics, this can be used as an important example in your answers. Then further moving on, Supreme Court forms expert panel to probe any regulatory failure on Adani issue. So we have seen and we have discussed it multiple number of times also that Hindenburg report was released which provided that Adanis, they have involved in some manipulations, they have artificially inflated their stock market, their stock prices, there are the accounting irregularities that have been found. Now because of that particular thing, 12 lakh crore rupees of market capitalization has been lost already by Adanis, and many of the public sector banks, LIC has invested in Adani's. They also got exposed negatively. Their exposures have been there. Now, whether these allegations are true or false, so on that particular thing, the committee, this particular expert panel has been constituted. Now, you are not required to go too much in detail, and you are not required to see every day that okay, what is coming. When finally any stand will be or any final report will be given, then only you need to see that. Now, further moving on, our donors include 30 organizations, including Indian government, CPR. So recently, CPR stands Center for Policy Research. It is a think tank. Its accounts were suspended. So they say that they are telling that our donors include 30 organizations, including government. Okay, not very much important for exam. Then Blinken, Lavrov makes contact on the sidelines of G20 foreign ministers meet. Okay, so as G20, I recently just talked about the foreign ministers meet that is being held uh, in India for the G20. So they made the contacts, but still the issues are unresolved. Okay, Russia claims Ukraine carried out cross-border raid. Fine, Netanyahu slams a protester after saloon siege of his wife. Basically, guys, the articles that you are seeing here, these are just the evolutionary day-to-day developments that are coming. These articles are not that much important for your examination, because only those articles are important which will have some direct impact on India's foreign policy, or such big issues are important. Day-to-day developments are not important. Then further moving on, coming to business page, GDP growth may beat 7% this financial year, CEA. So chief economic advisor has given the estimates that the GDP growth may beat 7%. Okay, however, we need to see that how actually the GDP will be unfolding. Fine, Adani raises this much money. Fine, government set to write to SEBI against SZ plan. EV adoption rising in rural India, says Tata. Okay, and then we have the Akasha to enter foreign skies by the end of 2023. So Akasha Airlines will be going international. Fine, but for exam, are you required to go and read these articles? Are they very important for the examination? The answer is not very much. Okay, so guys, understand this particular thing, that I intend to give you an important skill, that is to skim through the newspaper and find only the exact relevant articles which are important for our examination. Please don't waste disproportionate time often in such kind of things. Fine, so this is all about that. Now we have then the sports page. So this is overview of entire newspaper. Now let's discuss all the relevant articles for our examination one by one in detail. And guys, if you are liking the video, please do hit the like button and please help our channel to grow. Now, starting up with the articles one by one. So in every class we start with the GS quote, and this GS quotation can be used to complement your answers in GS 1, 2, 3, 4 and in essay as well. Now, taking the quotation today, we will take the quotation from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of Indian Constitution. So Dr. Ambedkar says, as long as you do not achieve social liberty, whatever freedom is provided by the law is of no avail to you. What do we mean by social liberty? Social liberty means that the society needs to treat people equally, irrespective of their caste, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their ethnicities. Now, often when we talk about the caste discrimination, untouchability that had prevailed, this is an example that the social liberty is missing, because people are not allowed to do certain works because of the basis of their caste. So number one is social liberty. Only when social liberty will come, then the political liberty, economic liberty will make the sense. So social liberty, social reform, social justice is most important thing, which is first to be achieved in a society if a meaningful justice has to be brought. We can use this particular idea in GS paper number 2 polity, as well as for GS paper number 4 ethics, and even essay we can use this particular idea. So that is about it. And now let's start first with the first article. Okay, meanwhile guys, if you have any doubt, you may ask here. And a very good morning to all of you. KSS, Junaid, Shuvendu, Shri Agro, Umesh. I wanted to ask, how relevant are these with reference to defense examination? Okay, wherever the current affairs will be there. Okay, so newspaper is always important. Okay, Aishwarya, Anil, Suraj, Ujal, Idris, Umesh, Sonam, Aspirant, Lakshmi, Umesh, Ganesh. Very good morning to all of you. Okay, chalo. So first article that we are going to see, panel of Prime Minister, CGI LOP to pick CSE, says a court. And there is also one more article that has been there, EC having tenure below 6 year, breach of law, Supreme Court. And then there are some other articles also on this particular same line that we are going to club here, and we are going to see them one by one. Now, first of all, where this particular article is going to be important, what is utility of this article? So this article will be important for GS paper number 2 polity. GS paper number 2 polity. Now it will be important for prelims examination also, and at the same time again GS paper number 2 constitutional issues, and within the constitutional issues electoral reforms. Electoral reforms, this particular article will be important. Now, before going in this article, I would like to tell you some of background first, and only after understanding this background we'll go in this article. So basically what has happened, guys, in the last few months, there are petitions that are filed in Supreme Court. And these petitions are talking about reform in the Election Commission of India. Okay. Now, whenever we talk about a democracy in order to be vibrant, in order to be democracy, in order to be functional, has to have free, fair, and transparent elections. Free, fair, and transparent elections. Even Supreme Court has provided in this particular judgment that the vote is even more powerful than the most powerful gun in the world. The vote is more powerful than the most powerful gun in the world. Now, and when we talk about the voting, and when we talk about the free, fair, and transparent Election Commission of India became a very important body. It needs to be independent, it needs to be robust, and it needs to be filled with the people who have a political neutrality. Now understand this particular thing. There is a very important value, that value of non-partisanship. Non-partisanship means that the functionaries, civil servants need not to be inclined towards a political party. Now, non-partisanship becomes a very, very important value, particularly for the members of the Election Commission of India. Okay. But there was one problem in this particular thing. What is this problem? Let's understand. Right now, when we talk about the appointment process of Election Commissioner and Chief Election Commissioner, when we talk about the appointment process, what happens? They are appointed by the president. They are appointed by the president. And we know this particular thing already, that president acts on the aid and advice, president acts on the aid and advice of the prime minister and the council of minister. It means the central government. So indirectly what is happening, the central government through the president is appointing that who is going to be the election commissioner and who is going to be the chief election commissioner. And it has been said that there might be a lot more probability that the central government can appoint that person as CEC and EC who is politically inclined towards that particular political party. And if such partisan person is appointed as election commissioner or chief election commissioner, then there might be certain issues. When we talk about the elections, they might not be free, fair, or transparent. So there were the demands, there were the petitions that were filed in the Supreme Court, and it was asked that appointment process of election commissioner and chief election commissioner needs to be changed. President should not be given only power. President should not be given the only power. Rather, this particular power needs to be given in the hand of a collegium, so that we can ensure that only the people who are politically unbiased are getting appointed to this particular office. And now the Supreme Court has given finally judgment in this particular regard. Now, what Supreme Court is talking about? The Supreme Court has provided now the Constitution Bench of Supreme Court, which will Constitution Bench means the bench of a Supreme Court in which minimum 5 judges needs to be there. So Constitution Bench has directed that now the appointment of Chief Election Commissioner and the appointment of Election Commissioner will be done by the president. Obviously this was the case earlier also, but now the president has to do these appointment on the basis of recommendation, on the basis of advice given by the collegium. Okay, and who will be there in this collegium, or who will be there in this panel? So number one, in this panel there will be the prime minister. Number 2, there will be the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. Now, leader of opposition needs to have at least 10% of the seats. Okay, and if there is no recognized leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha, then the leader of the single largest party in opposition. Okay, so either leader of opposition or the leader of the single largest party in opposition. And the third, Chief Justice of India. So this panel will suggest the name to the president. So here we see that now earlier Prime Minister and Council of Ministers were supreme, but now leader of opposition and judiciary has also been brought. So this is a kind of a good reform that has been brought in this particular direction. And Supreme Court has again very clearly said this thing, that the fierce, independent, neutrality and honesty is envisaged in the institution of Election Commission, and it requires an end to government monopoly and an end to exclusive control of the government over appointment to the Election Commission, highest poll body. Right now, before that, there was the monopoly of government to choose who will be appointed, but now this monopoly has been ended. Okay, now by this particular change, we have seen that the appointment process of the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner have been brought on par with the appointment of the CBI Director. Okay. Now, these facts you need to remember for your prelims examination because such questions are often asked there. Then further, moving on, guys, here it has also been provided by the Supreme Court that we are bringing this particular change as a stopgap arrangement. Ultimately, Parliament has to come with the law. Ultimately, Parliament has to come with the law, and the appointment process of the President is to be changed. So, this particular body will stay till Parliament will bring final law. So, this high powered committee would continue to the president until parliament enacts a law on this particular process. Fine, this is something that has happened. Now, guys, there is one more issue that has been highlighted by Supreme Court Judge Justice Ajay Rastogi in this particular judgment. So, Justice Ajay Rastogi, fine, you are not required to remember the name. So, he had talked about one very important issue, and this important issue is with respect to the removal of the Chief Election Commissioner and Election Commissioner. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that when we talk about the removal, Chief Election Commissioner can be removed through the process of formal removal in the manner of the Supreme Court judge. So, basically, there is an impeachment like process for the removal of Supreme Court judge, and in the same manner, Chief Election Commissioner can be removed. But when we talk about the removal of Election Commissioner can simply be removed after the recommendation has been given by the Chief Election Commissioner. So, in the removal process of Election Commissioner, they are not provided the impeachment like process. A formal process of removal is not there. Simply, Chief Election Commissioner will suggest that remove the EC can be removed. So, now understand this particular thing, that when CEC, EC has been given a kind of an equal say in the Election Commission of India's matters. Why? In removal, Election Commissioner, have not been given the protection as is being given to the CEC. So, this particular matter was also brought in Supreme Court, and now what has happened? So, Justice Ajay Rastogi has provided that the removal of CEC, the manner in which CEC is removed, that is the impeachment process, the same manner should be extended to the Election Commissioner also under the Article 324 of the Constitution. Okay, so CEC is removed as the Supreme Court judge is removed, so that is to be extended to EC as well. They have said this thing. Okay, then further, they have also, Supreme Court has also recommended one very important thing. They had said that in order to make Election Commission as an independent body, they need to be given a permanent secretariat. They need to be given a permanent secretariat, and the permanent secretariat's expenses should be charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. Now, this permanent secretariat will give them staff, will give the staff to Election Commission of India when they need it. It will give them the resources when the Election Commission of India need it. Right now, it is being said that that executive can bring the EC to its knees by starving it of the requisite finances for the independent functioning. Now, Election Commission of India needs funds, it needs resource for the independent functioning. And if right now that resource will be given by the executive, given by the central government. And if central government wants to control the Election Commission of India, they might stop giving them those funds. So, here they need to be given their own independent secretariat. This is something that has been provided. Okay. And then final one more development has come. And this development is that, see, in the last 20 to 30 years, it has been observed that the election commissioners, their tenure is to be 65 years or 6 years, whichever is earlier. But the election commissioners now are not living their tenure of 6 years in the office. Okay, they are spending 1, 2, 3 years maximum. So now it has been said that appointing the election commissioner for a tenure of less than 6 years is a clear breach of the law. So, election commissioner's appointment should not be less than 6 years. So, all these developments have come here, and this is a very, very important and a very big development that has come. Fine. So, let me paraphrase you how many things have come out of this particular judgment. Number one, there will be a panel, and these will be the members of the panel. Number two, it has been suggested that the removal process of CEC should be extended to EC. Second, thirdly, it has been provided that there needs to be a permanent secretariat, and fourthly, it has been provided that the appointment of election commissioner should not be below the 6 years. At least 6 years tenures need to be given to them. So these are the four major developments that have come out of this issue. Okay, so I hope guys that you have understood it. And now moving to the next article. Okay, Telangana government moves the Supreme Court as governor delays nod to bills. Okay, now see this thing. We have taken it multiple number of times in our newspapers that conflicts between governor and chief minister's office have increased a lot. We have seen that just yesterday, day before yesterday, Chief Justice of India specifically said that governor and chief minister needs to behave with the political maturity because of the war of words in between the Punjab chief minister and Punjab governor. Before that, in Tamil Nadu also there was the conflict between the governor and chief minister, and now the similar issue is going on in Telangana. Particularly guys, we see this thing that the states which are being ruled by the party different than the central government, then there these issues are more and more. Now we need to understand that such issues are needed to be resolved because they happen to be a federal issue. Okay, now we are going to see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, federal issues. GS paper number 2, federal issues. Okay, federal issues. Now, let's see that what has happened. So basically, the issue that's coming here in this thing is that Telangana government said that they have passed certain bills, okay, and then these bills have been referred to governor. That governor should give assent to the bill. But governor has not given the assent to bills. Governor is sitting on the bill, and because of that particular thing, a lot of developmental works have been stalled. So the government has approached Supreme Court under Article 32, the constitutional remedies. Okay, so government is asking constitutional remedy from the Supreme Court. It has been said that a kind of a constitutional crisis, a kind of a constitutional impasse has been created in the state. Why? Because governor is not acting on the several bills that have been passed by the state legislature. Fine, is not giving any decision on this particular thing. Now, the government of Telangana is saying this particular thing that Article 200 of the Constitution very clearly mandates, very clearly provides that the governor can either give assent to the bill, or could withdraw the assent, says that I will not give assent, you give assent, or you say that I will not give the assent, then the bill will be returned to the governor. See, if you give the assent, bill is passed. If you withhold the assent, the bill ends there, and government can work on the other version of that particular bill. Okay, so process will continue. But now what is happening? Neither the governor has given assent, nor governor has refused the assent. So because of that particular thing, that the developmental processes have been stalled. Okay, now here the government, now see, this issue comes many number of times, that basically because there is no timeline decided that in which how much time the assent is to be given or the assent is to be withdrawn. Fine, because of this thing, the governors have abused this particular provision, so an amendment is needed. This is something that has been asked. Now it is further being provided by the government of Telangana that Article 163 very clearly provides that governor is required to exercise his function with whether the bill is to be given approval or not. Here, he has to act only on the basis of the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers and the Chief Minister. And here there is also one very clear judgment of Supreme Court, that is Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab 1974 judgment. And in this particular judgment, very clearly Supreme Court provided that governor is not expected to act independently, and this position has been made very clear. Fine. So point is that even in the matters of giving the assent or withholding the assent, governor even in these matters have to act as per the aid and advice of the Council of Minister. This is something that has been provided, but the governor is sitting on the bill. So we need to bring a suitable amendment where there needs to be clear timeline in which governor has to act. This is something that is being provided in this particular article. Fine. Guys, I hope that you have understood it. Okay. Uh, Guys, if you have any doubt, please you may ask. Is it for is Anil? Is it follow compulsory to Parliament? Anil, what you are trying to say? Is it follow compulsory to Parliament? Fine. Now, moving to the next article. Okay, the aftermath of Sri Lanka's economic crash. Now, see this thing. Guys, we have seen that since 2021 and 2022, now the crisis is going to start. This symbols were given in 2021, and since 2022, Sri Lanka is facing this economic crisis. Fine. Now you see, right now, Sri Lanka is not having the foreign exchange left, and Sri Lanka is a lot dependent on the imports for their basic domestic needs, and they don't have the foreign exchange. So therefore, Sri Lanka is has committed a balance of payment crisis. What is BOP crisis? Balance of payment crisis is one where you don't have any foreign exchange left to pay for the imports. That is the BOP crisis. In this situation of BOP crisis, the country can approach the IMF. Okay, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and IMF will provide the support to this such a country under their EFF, Extended Fund Facility. Extended Fund Facility. And right now, the Sri Lanka has asked IMF the support of $2.9 billion. $2.9 billion support has asked by the Sri Lanka from IMF. IMF said that you want to give the guarantee of your biggest, basically the countries who have given you the biggest creditors, your biggest creditors, you need to give guarantee. India has already given the guarantee that okay, IMF may provide money to Sri Lanka, and now Sri Lanka is waiting for that particular thing. Okay, now this particular article, guys, is largely talking about the exports in the month of January, how much money IMF is giving, what right now is happening in the Sri Lanka. Okay, 50% with inflation persisting over 50%, half of the families are forced to reduce the amount that they are feeding to the children. Now, what I'm trying to say, that the article that has come here is largely talking about the economic condition that the Sri Lanka is facing today. Now, you see this thing, this particular kind of an topic will, if a question is being asked onto the economic crisis going on in Sri Lanka, you will be asked such question in your mains examination, and by the time in this 6-7 months of the time, this situation will completely be changed. So you are not required to track the present condition going on in Sri Lanka in the face of this particular economic crisis. Okay, so no need to go there. Please spare your effort, please spare your time. If you have an interest as a leisurely read, if you want, you can read this particular article, but will not be that much important for your exam by the time you will write your exam, because by that time this present condition will completely be changed. Okay, so that is all about it. Now moving to the next article. South Asia's human capital is the resilience it needs. Now this article will see with respect to the GS paper number 2, developmental issues. GS paper number 2, developmental issues. Okay. Now, developmental issues. Okay. So basically, the article is largely focusing on the crisis, okay, silent crisis that the South Asian countries are facing, because we are not able to utilize our young demography, okay, young people. Fine. Now, the article provides this particular thing that if in since 2020, multiple crises have been faced by the South Asian countries. For example, there was the COVID-19 pandemic, then came the economic slump after the COVID-19 crisis, and extreme weather events such as the cyclones, etc. Fine, we have seen, okay, in the last 3 years successively. And because of that particular thing, the human capital, human resource within the South Asian countries, it is getting impacted negatively. Now, it has been provided that when we talk about any country, see, knowledge, fine, education of the people of that particular country, their skills, their health, it is very important. Fine. So, knowledge, skills, and health, all these particular things translates to human capital. It translates to human capital. Human capital or human resource is the most important resource of a country, even more important than the physical resource. Many of the country which don't have much of a physical resource, just on the basis of their human resource, they have achieved the great success. And human resource, human capital will be made up of knowledge, skills, and health. And all these particular three things are very important for the resilience, for the growth of a particular nation. Now we need to strengthen these human capital in the countries. But understand this particular thing, that today when we talk about the South Asia, South Asia's human capital is declining. They are not able to take the full advantage of their human capital. Why? Number one, today we see the countries in the South Asia, okay, people are its biggest assets, but they are wastefully underutilized. Now, this is a very important data. It is being said that 1 million young people will enter the labor force every month till 2030. So till 2030, next 7 years, every month, 1 million people, every month 1 million people will enter the labor force. Okay, but can we employ them meaningfully? And if we cannot employ them meaningfully, how we are going to utilize this high demographic dividend? What is demographic dividend? Guys, demographic dividend is the economic advantage that a country is going to reap because of their young population. So we have young population, but we can't have their advantage if we can't employ them meaningfully. Fine. Then the second problem that is coming here is that health wise also there are a lot of problems. South Asia is home to 1/3 of the world's stunted children, 33% of the stunted children. Stunted children are the one who don't gain enough height in comparison to their, the people who don't gain, the children who don't gain enough height in comparison to their age. Okay, and stunting is a condition because of the undernourishment. So 1/3 of the stunted children are found in South Asia. Okay, and children born in the region today, by the age of 18, is expected to attain only 48% of their full productive potential. So their full productive potential they are not achieving, only 48% of potential they are achieving. Again, it shows that the government has not been able to reap their full advantage. Then the next issue that comes here is that today the poverty has also become a very big problem in the South Asia. After the COVID-19, 35 billion people across the South Asia, they have been pushed to extreme poverty. 35 million people in South Asia have been pushed to extreme poverty. This is going to be a very, very big issue. Okay, so what can be done in this particular direction? Now here some successful case studies have been given and we can learn from these successful case studies. First of all, we need to give them more attention. We need to give more focus on these people and children. First of all, simple and low cost education programs can help in enhancing their education, can help in recouping the learning gaps, learning poverty that has come in this particular region. Okay, and here we have the case study of Bangladesh first of all. Now, what Bangladesh has provided? Bangladesh, attending a year of additional preschool through 2-year session had improved literacy, numeracy and social developmental scores. So, a preschool session of 2 hours, fine, has helped in improving their learning outcomes. Similarly, Tamil Nadu, now Tamil Nadu is providing the 6 months of extra remedial classes. Fine. Now we know this thing that for 18 months schools were closed because of the pandemic. So the remedial classes are being provided to the children who have fell behind, who have developed learning gaps, and it is helping these children. In Nepal also, teachers are running a phone tutoring program, and by this phone tutoring program, the foundational numeracy skills has been improved by 30%. So providing additional support to the students so that they can regain their confidence in the studies have the long term impacts, and here the case study of Bangladesh, Tamil Nadu, Nepal can be taken up. Okay, then further it has also been provided that on the health front, education front, skill front, all on all these front, we needed to bring the meaningful developmental changes. Then secondly, it has also been provided that there is also need to ensure the essential services such as the healthcare services. Okay, they needed to be provided the vaccinations, they need to be provided the adequate food and nutrition for their healthy living. Fine. Learning needs to remain uninterrupted. We need to have flexibility to evolve. Fine. We need to also evolve our social protection systems to meet up the urgent needs. And lastly, data and technology can also be used. Technology can also be used to provide the delivery of the public goods and services till the last mile. Okay. For example, we have seen that when the lockdown was imposed, health services were suspended. Okay, and because of that particular thing also there have been the problems. But if the health services are suspended, you can't physically go to a doctor, then telemedicine, okay, e-health is something that can be explored. So the technologies needs to be leveraged in this particular direction. Okay, so that is all guys about it. Fine. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll move to next article. Positing India's stand on the Ukraine war. Positing India's stand on the Ukraine war. Now, this particular article, guys, is talking about the India's position on Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, and many of the Western countries have criticized often India, that India is not taking a very clear position. India is not taking a very clear position. Now, whether it is ethically justified or not, we are going to analyze this entire issue here. Okay. Now, okay. So basically, recently, first year anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine war was observed. It was one entire year since this tragedy has begun, since this misfortunate event has begun. Okay. Now, on the first anniversary of the Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the United Nations General Assembly had adopted a resolution calling that Russia is responsible for starting this Russia-Ukraine war, and immediately the war should be ended, and for ending the war, Russia needs to withdraw all its troops from the Ukraine. This resolution was adopted in UNGA. Now, in this particular resolution, what happened? It was favored by 141 countries. It was opposed by 7 countries, and 32 countries abstained. They neither supported it nor they went against it. And 32 countries that have abstained, India is among these 32 countries. So India abstained it. And India is abstaining in this particular line since the war got started in 2022. Okay. Now, India abstaining on such kind of an issue, this particular thing has been criticized often by the West. Now, basically, India has refused to condemn Russia. India also has refused to join the Western countries' sanctions against the Russia. Rather, India is now buying more oil from Russia. India is also going to procure S-400 Triumph uh, air defense system. We have discussed it also yesterday. So, India is not stopping the collaboration and cooperation. Fine. Now, basically, this particular issue is being, for example, I want to give you some references here. US President Joe Biden said that Russian invasion is a test for the ages. Okay, this such kind of an event happened so many years back during the World War II, and once in a ages such kind of things happened, and it is a test of morality. Countries need to take a firm position here. Okay, it has been said that it is an affront to global democracy. It is not an attack on Ukraine, it is an attack on global democracy. This is something that has been said. Now here, India, South Africa, we are the large democracies of Asia and Africa, and we have abstained from this particular process. Now guys, here what has happened, the Western countries and USA, they are saying that, they are saying this particular thing, that Russia has violated the, this is a question about morality. This is the question about ethics. Why the question of ethics? Because Russia has violated the sovereignty of Ukraine. And if I give you the reference, article number 2 of the United Nations Charter, which talks about the sovereignty of a country is inalienable. And as the sovereignty of a country is inalienable, fine, Russia should not have violated the sovereignty of Ukraine. This has been an issue. Now, today it is being said that for USA and for Europe, it is a convergence of their moral position and the convergence of their foreign policy. So they equate it with morality, and even it is their national interest to keep Russia at a distance. So their moral position and their foreign policy, they both have converged. So therefore they are giving these big type, they are doing these big talks. Now see, USA, when their national, now see, just guys, give me 10 seconds. So what has happened, their moral interest, okay, and their national interest has converged. Their national interest has converged. Morally, they say that Russia is bad, and as per their national interest also, they need to keep Russia at a distance, because if Russia will become powerful, then it will try to dominate the West. So their national interest has been converged. So therefore, they are accusing Russia. But when the national interest comes, and if national interest is not aligned with the morality, they don't choose morality, they choose national interest. What? Let's understand this thing. Here we have certain examples. Okay, just a minute. Here we have certain examples. So example of 2003. the USA launched the illegal invasion of Ukraine, violating the country's sovereignty. At this point of a time, their national interest was to invade Iraq, and they invaded the Iraq. They forgot the morality. Fine. So here they choose their own national interest. They forgot the morality. They themselves have done this thing. In 2011, the NATO, they turned a UN security resolution, and the NATO imposed a no-fly zone in Libya, and then full-scale invasion in the Libya was done. Here also the sovereignty was not followed. Now the US has illegally placed its troops in the Syria. Here also the sovereignty has been imposed. So when the interest of USA comes in between, they forget morality and they only focus on their national interest. Clear? So when there is a divergence between national interest and moral concepts, the West without doubt embrace the first. They without doubt they give more importance to national interest. Now if today India is favoring their national interest, India today wants to cultivate relations with Russia in line with their national interest, how India will be bad then? How India will be bad then? Now see, basically now India needs Russia for multiple purposes for enhancing their national interest. First is energy interest. First is the energy interest. Now guys, see this particular thing, that a lot of discounted fuel is coming from Russia right now. First of all, around 83% of India's oil requirements are met by imports. Fine. And the big players from whom we have imported the oil are Saudi Arabia, Russia. Okay. Now, the last year 2022, Russia is offering discounted oil to India, and India has imported, and today Russia has become the largest supplier of oil to India. So for energy security of India, Russia is a very important partner, and India wants to use this particular opportunity. So therefore, India cannot go against Russia. Secondly, Russia is also very much important for the India's defense supplies. Now 46% of India's defense needs in the last 5 years have been met by Russia. And right now the S-400 air defense system that is being provided by Russia to India, it is also very much important. So for defense, Russia is important. Thirdly, right now Russia is deepening its ties with the China. Okay, and China is the main competitor of India. China has developed confrontations with India on the line of actual control. If we want to keep China at a bay, if we want to keep China at a distance, we need to ensure that Russia is meaningfully aligned to India. Is it clear or not? Then after that particular thing, guys, India, to manage its continental big interest, to manage the security concerns, India needs to have the deeper relations with the Eurasian landmass, Central Asia. Fine, we need to have a close contact with the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Now see, USA is missing from the Eurasian landmass. And as USA is missing, Russia is present there. So we need to cooperate with the Russia. Okay, so this is something that India needs to support Russia for their national interest. And if India is supporting the Russia for the sake of their national interest, India is not doing anything wrong, India is not doing anything bad, because all the time national interest happens to be very important, and all countries choose their national interest first. Okay, so this is all about this particular article. Okay, yes guys, any other doubt here? Supreme Court order is compulsory to Parliament about Election Commission. Yes, Supreme Court is the final arbiter of the Constitution, and if Supreme Court has ruled, it is the final. It is final. The government has to follow it. Sir, if a bill passed by government under governor assent, governor keep its lapse. Is there any provision? Is there? Shri Prasant, basically it's not clear what you are trying to say. Please write your comment again. Sir, till which month we need to analyze daily newspaper for prelims 2023? Till March you can do that. Okay, India Italy elevate ties. India Italy elevate ties, sign MOU on defense cooperation. Okay. Now, so basically, guys, we have seen few days back also the India Italy relations. So we will see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 2, international relation. Within international relation, India Italy. India Italy. Okay, now basically in the past few years there have been certain irritants between India and Italy relation. What was this irritant? Irritant was this, that what happened few years back, two of the Italian marines, they shot down on the fishermen of Kerala, And because they shot down on the fishermen of Kerala, fine, India requested that these Italian marines need to be sent for the trial in India. But at that point of a time, what happened? Italy in turn summoned the Indian ambassadors, and even Italy did not shown a much cooperation on that particular matter. So because of this particular issue, the Italy-India relations had developed a kind of an irritant. But now India and Italy are trying to solve this particular irritant, and now they are promoting their relations, they are promoting their partnership. And in this particular capacity, it has been announced that India-Italy bilateral relation, which was established in 1947, bilateral relations will be promoted to the level of strategic partnership. And on this particular line, MOU has also been signed, Memorandum of Understanding. And also on the defense front, Italy is going to support India. Okay. Now, basically, what do we understand by the strategic relation that has been signed here, strategic agreement that has been signed here? First of all, when we talk about the strategic relationships, it refers to a long-term and mutually beneficial partnership between the countries where they align their economic interest, they align their strategic interest, they align their military interest. Okay, now when we talk about the strategic relationship, it is a very broad term. Fine. No, there is no one fixed template for strategic relationships. Okay, so here the countries will share common interest, common goals, common values, and the strategic relation is based on trust, cooperation, mutual respect, and all these kind of things. Now, one more important development that has come in this particular direction is that what has happened? What has happened? India has also invited Italy to join Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative. Now, what is this Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative? It is a multilateral initiative which was started by the India in 2019. And in this Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiative, it aims to promote number one, sustainable development, maritime security, cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. Okay. And this IPOI, it has 7 key focus areas. Number one, maritime security. Number two, maritime ecology, maritime resources, capacity building, resource sharing, disaster risk reduction and management, science and technology, and trade connectivity and marine transport. So here, India and Italy will also cooperate. Now, see this particular thing that over the past few years, we have seen this particular thing that cooperation on Indo-Pacific has been increased between India and particularly the European countries. France had come out with their Indo-Pacific policy. Italy is also coming with their Indo-Pacific policy. So on Indo-Pacific, the cooperation has been increased in the past few years. So here now also the India-Italy will cooperate on the Indo-Pacific. So this is something that has come out of that. Okay. Now, Nagaland gets its first women MLAs. Okay, so guys, this is a very good thing that political participation of women in elections or political empowerment of women is happening. So here we see the example that Hekani Jakhalu and fine Salantanu Cruz, they have been selected as the Nagaland's first women MLAs. Now, when we talk about the political participation of women at the level of center, we see that 14% MPs, 14% MPs at the level of center are women. And when we talk about the state, fine, on an average, 9% of MLAs in the states are women. So when the population of women is on par with the men, that is 50% men, 50% women, why their representation in parliament or in leadership positions have always been very much less? It is because of the entrenched social issues that have been there. Social customs have always seen women in the domestic roles, and social condition or basically the social norms have always seen men in the leadership roles. So because of this particular thing, we have found that in traditional sense women were underrepresented, and now the first two women as they have come from the Nagaland, we expect that more such women leaders from not only Nagaland but other states will also come. Fine. Now, you are not required to see which political party they won and all such kind of things. Okay. Now, moving on. Okay, and mains practice question for today. So today's mains practice question, it reads, Owing to its national interest, India has refused to condemn Russia for the invasion and consistently abstained from UN votes on the war. In this context, discuss the strategic significance of Russia. So you can get the answer from the today's editorial. This will be the question, practice question for GS2 international relation, and it will be a 10 marker question. Okay, that is all guys about it, and with this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Guys, if you have liked the video, please do hit the like button and please do support to our channel. Fine. And I personally read all your comments that you give on our video. That is very important for us. Please keep on commenting, please keep on sharing, and please keep on liking the video. Thank you so much.